So to begin, I conditioned some black Sculpey. I originally did not have enough for this project, so I mixed in quite a bit of translucent Sculpey. That's why it looks a bit more gray, just in case you're wondering. Next up, I am running the clay through the pasta machine. I believe it was on the third setting. I wanted a thin sheet, but not super thin, so this setting worked for me. Once you have your sheet, you can go ahead and cover your case. This will provide a layer for your dragon scales to stick onto. The rest is pretty self-explanatory. Just get rid of extra clay and clean up the edges. Now for the challenging part. Okay, so here I decided to add some liquid Sculpey so that the scales would stick on a little bit more. This first and second row were the trickiest, but I just did my best to align the scales to where I thought they should be. It helped me a lot to remember I'm working in rows, so every scale should be placed around the same height. Just kind of do what works for you. I'm not going to bore you to death as I place each scale, so here's what having all the scales on here looks like. For the camera holes, I literally just punctured a hole through the clay and scraped out the excess clay, cleaned up the edges using Q-tips and alcohol. If you haven't seen my previous video on how to clean your polymer clay, go check that out. Now for the color, I am using this Pearlex pigment in spring green and a soft brush that won't damage the scales. How much powder pigment do you use? All of it. No, not really, but just make sure you get all your scales covered. Best part of these pigments, oh yeah, look at that shimmer. So this is what we got so far, and now it's time to bake. I folded some foil paper to elevate the case a bit so that the edges wouldn't warp when baking, and then set it around 230 and baked for 20 minutes. I baked again for 10 more minutes after that. Every oven may be a tad different, so you just have to figure out what works for your project. Next up, I'm using Dura Clear Gloss to seal the pigment. I would have loved to use something like UV resin, but I haven't gotten around to ordering some. I really do want to try that stuff out though. Using the same brush, I went ahead and covered each scale with the gloss. Don't forget to get the edges of the scales too. I like doing 2 coats, but again, it's up to you. It's finally done now, and we are ready to put it on our DS. So here we go. I'm making this for my husband, so here he is now putting on the case. Ready?
Cece, I need to sit right here because this requires.
Oh my god. Come on, just put your case on it.
How do I do this?
What do you think? Is that good? It is. I think the only one that you're gonna have to be careful with is that one because it might break. But other than that, I think it's fine. Did it work?
What do you want me to show?
You were saying that just to check if the camera would work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So yeah, it works pretty good.
Probably the only thing
Mm-hmm.
would be this one little corner.
Yeah, just shave off.
But if we
that
shaved off that little bit
with the X-Acto knife.
on the inside, it would be pretty much good.
Yeah.
But that's not even that bad if you really consider. It's not like you're really going to be using this for video. It's not like here.
So,
volunteering.
So just in case anybody wants to know if the camera still works with that on, it definitely does. And basically, this is what you would be seeing on the front. So,
Or if you're the other person watching something like this, you'd be seeing this.
the back of it like that, which looks pretty interesting.
Definitely won't find another one like it.
Alrighty then.